Hey everyone, welcome to our June JoyDeck live masterclass. Thanks very much for coming. These masterclasses are monthly on YouTube Live and in our private JoyDeck Facebook group, which you have to be a member for to access. And I just want to give you a little bit of a lay of the land here. So in the comments, Rebecca, our client account manager, she's moderating. She'll be gathering any questions or comments that you have, and I have communication with her here, so she'll pass them along to me. And so if you think of anything throughout the stream, I'll be pausing periodically to address questions, say hello, respond to your comments, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. So happy Friday. Welcome again. This stream, if you didn't see the topic, is about marketing strategies for the slow summer season, because this isn't true for every jewelry brand. Some people for summer it picks up. Like for example, if you have beachy jewelry or jewelry that appeals to tourists, and you sell in like beach towns, sometimes for some brands, summer's actually the busy season. But I would say the majority overall, summer slows down, people are traveling, they're not shopping as much, they're spending money on their summer getaways, or they're just more relaxed. So I want to give you some strategies and some mindset reframes for if it does slow down for you so that you don't lose momentum, but that you can also rest as well, because summer should be enjoyed in my opinion. So again, welcome. If you're just joining, this is our monthly live masterclass. Again, Rebecca is here in the comments, moderating, gathering questions, gathering comments, passing them along to me so that I can answer everything. Before I get started, as people are kind of trickling in, I want to know, since summer has officially started, what's been your, well, we're like a week in, so it hasn't been that much time, but what has been your biggest win so far? Basically, so what was your biggest win this week? And it could be something really small, like you finally cleaned off your workspace, or you sent an email that you've been procrastinating on, or you made a plan for something. So I want to know, what was your biggest win? Let's all celebrate together. So leave a comment and Rebecca will pass them along to me. And also, if you had like a really tough challenge this week, especially related to marketing or to something you're working on for growing or changing your jewelry business, I want to hear that too, so that we can encourage you as well. And maybe if there is something that's related to what I'm going to talk about today, we can kind of work that in and help you through a problem. So let us know in the comments your biggest win of the week, of the summer, or the biggest challenge that you're dealing with right now. All right, so let's jump in. Again, we're talking about strategies for the slow season. I do want to also remind you, I forgot. So we have both JoyDeck members watching this, and we have it also open to anyone to enjoy. The benefits of being a JoyDeck member is that you can access additional resources. And I will just show you what those are. Let me share my screen. So JoyDeck members get access to a whole resource kit that accompanies every masterclass, including the replay, guides about all the things that I'll be talking about today, step by step, built over many years of experience and working with brands, other recordings and masterclasses that are related, copy and paste subject line ideas, templates, storytelling prompts, lots of different resources that we have that kind of pair with this particular topic. And also JoyDeck members only, if you are watching, reminder that we do have our July challenge that's related to this masterclass. And every month we do this challenge for members only, and one winner gets to choose from our Super Swift Services shop, a service that we offer. And I will just quickly show you what that looks like, because although a winner gets to choose one for free, anyone can benefit from this and purchase a Super Swift service that's in myjoydeck.com/shop. And I'll share this again later in case you're interested. They're kind of like these quick hit SOS type services if you want to tune up different elements of your jewelry marketing. All right, I wanted to make sure I didn't forget that. So the mindset shift I want you to think about making today as we ease into this topic is, what if your slowest season could actually become your most strategic one? I think I talk to jewelry business owners day in and day out, and if summer is their slowest season, they've kind of just resigned themselves to that. They've accepted, okay, like I'm not going to get a lot of sales. I've planned for that financially. I know things slow down. And if you are cool with that and it works for your business, that's great. You know, it gives you an opportunity to take a break, and it gives you time to have energy during the busy times. But if this is something you don't feel comfortable just like sitting back and accepting, there are so many opportunities for you to take advantage of when things do slow down. And I want you to see it more as an opportunity and not like a resignation or a defeat, because there's a lot you can do to plant seeds for Q4 especially. And I know that probably sounds kind of nuts to a lot of people, sorry, I just saw a comment come through and I will acknowledge it in a moment. It probably sounds nuts to some people that it's June, and I'm like, I cannot think about the holidays right now. Like, it's just warming up. I'm going to sit at the pool. Can't think about it. But what we see working with clients, and I think you just have to trust me on this one, marketing can take a while to gain momentum, and it helps to have a strategy and plan for implementing that momentum. And starting to think about it now can help you have better results in October, November, December. It also will free you up to be less stressed out when that busy time comes, so that you're not just remembering on November 1st that, oh yeah, I have to figure out my holiday marketing. So it's a great opportunity, even if you can't change anything about sales now, thinking about how you can plant the seeds to be able to harvest them in Q4. And I'm going to take a pause because I saw some comments come through. Thank you. Everyone who's commenting, feel free to chime in because I'm seeing all the comments. I want to acknowledge them. Rebecca, again, is in the chat. So say hi to Rebecca. She is passing everything along to me. And she said somebody mentioned their win, that you joined this masterclass. Good job. Honestly, that's amazing. I know it's really hard to carve time for like education and business enrichment. And it's hard to plan these lives around all the different possible time zones that might work for people. So I really appreciate anyone that shows up and makes the time for it. I think that that is a step in an amazing direction for your business. So good work. And then also we had more of a challenge. I am starting a new brand in jewelry. I want to know how to start, if I make one piece limited by order, or should I make many pieces before I start marketing and selling? That's a great question. I have more questions for you to answer it clearly, but and you can fill in more information in the comments if you want to elaborate, but the answer to that depends on your price point, what you can afford, and kind of like where you're planning to sell also. So is this just going to be on like your own e-com website? And also, what is your budget for marketing? So there's basically every question does not have a simple answer when it comes to marketing. Things need to be clarified. So if you want to pop more information in the chat, I can come back to that. So coming back to this mindset shift, we're planting seeds for Q4. We're thinking of the slow time. And hey, also, if summer is not your only slow time, maybe you have other slow times, just pretend I'm talking about any slow time. Thinking of it as opportunity, because the best brands are built when in times of challenge, difficulty, slow down. That's when the ones that are really committed to their business strategy plant the seeds and make changes that are going to help them be more sustainable in the long term, rather than these like overnight successes, quote unquote, that sometimes don't have the foundations in place to really sustain for the long term. So this is all of the positive stuff I want you to be telling yourself. All right, so what can you be doing? First, I want you to find time every week. You are going to choose, and you can decide how much time, depends how much time you have. If you're super busy, you have a family, whatever, it's going to depend on what's available. But you're going to need to commit time to doing these things. They can't just be like a floating to-do list where you are not carving out space to do these things. So you need to set a marketing meeting with yourself or whoever is helping you, if you have someone helping you. So choose a day every week, choose how much time you have. An hour is great, 2 hours is great. If you can devote a whole half day, a whole day, whatever makes sense. And you need to put it on the calendar, because it's so easy. I mean, again, I see this so often. You can have a whole step-by-step checklist of just do all of these things and you will be much more advanced in your marketing. And you could have it all spelled out in front of you. And unfortunately, business is difficult. Lots of things come up. If it's not on a calendar, it's not going to happen. So you need to commit to making that time. Now let's talk about the things that you can be doing. The very first thing I want you to think about, because it is the foundation for all of the marketing. It is the place that you are going to be driving people to. It is your storefront, literally, is your e-commerce website. This summer is the perfect time to assess what is happening on your website and changes you can make to make sure when Q4 rolls around, there's no friction, there's no difficulty, there's no user experience challenges. So I want to tell you about some of the things that you could be doing on your site to improve it. And anyone can do these things no matter what website platform you have, as long as you have some basic knowledge of customizing your site within a theme. For example, within a Shopify theme, you don't need to be like a website coder or anything like that. So I'm going to open some like example websites that I like in jewelry. And as I talk through my suggestions, I'll show you ways that other brands are doing what I'm suggesting so that you can try to adapt it to your own jewelry brand. Give me 1 second, and I'll also pause in case any comments come through. Okay. And also, if you have, since we're talking about websites right now for the next few minutes, if you have questions specifically related to your website, or even if you want me to pull it up on the screen and screen share and tell you some suggestions that I have for you specifically, feel free to, we could do that. All right. So the very first suggestion I have is to kind of make sure that the basics are in place in terms of loading your site. Most people, especially if you are doing promotions on Instagram, on social media, most people are going to come to your site from on a mobile device. So they are looking at your website on a teeny tiny iPhone or a similar mobile device. And you want to look at your site on a mobile phone and see, does it load quickly? Do some pictures kind of take too much time to load? Does the page just quickly display on a mobile device? That's a really important thing to check. And then on a mobile device, is it easy to find things? So let me share my screen right now. I have the Tiffany website here. And I also just want to show you, if you ever want, if you don't have your phone handy, this is a little trick, and you want to see how a website will look on different mobile devices. I'm in Google Chrome right now. I don't think you could see the very tippy top of my screen, but in Google Chrome, if you go to the menu at the top and you go to View in the menu, and now you can see, and you scroll down to Developer, there's something called Developer Tools. And if you click that, it brings up this like half screen thing that's going to show you like the code on the website and so forth. But right over here on the left side, there's this little icon that looks like, I don't know. It's supposed to be a computer and a phone next to each other. And if you click on that, it actually will render the website in different formats. So I'm going to just make this go down a little bit. And you can see, I have to say it's not 100% exact. It might actually look different on one of these devices, but you can get a sense of how your site will look on like many different devices so that you don't actually have to have all these devices to test. And you'll see here, I have the Tiffany site. And here are some things I really like about the mobile experience of this that you can think about adding to your own site if it's possible, and you can edit it with your theme. As I said, thinking about the mobile experience means that it needs to be super easy to find things, especially on a mobile device. This is the main menu over here. You can see how difficult and overwhelming this can be on a mobile device. There's so much to look at, and you're just, touching this with your finger and trying to like, oh, okay, bracelets. Okay. So you have to go through like multiple levels of a menu. What's really important for mobile is to have clear search functionality. So that is something to consider adding. As well as, since a lot of people will probably be going to your homepage on mobile, making sure that everything on this page, especially everything above the fold, and that means everything like up to here before you scroll, is showing whatever is the latest, greatest, and the newest. So don't have like outdated banners. I see that a lot. Like some people will still have their Mother's Day banner up here. Make sure that you are promoting whatever is in alignment with everything else, with what you're promoting on social media, with what you're promoting in email. And then obviously this is like a fancy video that Tiffany has, but for you, if you just have a picture and a headline, again, make sure that it's aligned with whatever else you're showing on all other platforms. And this is not limited to summer, obviously. It's for you to get in the habit of aligning everything on your website with all your marketing. So maybe that means you have a line item in your content calendar about swapping your homepage content for every like new arrival, new promotion, new merchandising thing, just so you don't forget, because it's so easy to forget to change things on your website. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water before I move forward because I'm very thirsty. And in the meantime, again, if you want me to look at something on your specific website, feel free to drop your URL in the chat and Rebecca will pass it along to me. Okay, so we kind of talked about making sure the page loads, making sure the page loads quickly, making sure it's really easy to find things, especially on a mobile device before anyone has to scroll, and also thinking through merchandising. Merchandising is just a fancy word for ensuring that you are presenting and making it easy to find the products that you want to be spotlighting for your customers. Thinking about it also as if you had a brick and mortar jewelry store. If you had a brick and mortar jewelry store in a downtown somewhere and there's a window on the street that people walk by, you're going to be changing and refreshing what's in that window to attract people for different reasons, different seasons, etc., etc. In the same way, you want to keep that homepage fresh and you want to have like a line item in your content calendar for that. Another thing you can really think about doing in this slow season time is to think very seriously about your product pages. And I'll share my screen again. So this is the Majuri website. Product pages. Okay, so let me back up a sec. A lot of jewelry brands will put a ton of effort into their homepage. It makes sense. It's kind of like your storefront. It likely will get the most traffic. But you need to think that the very last touch point, the very last thing that someone sees before they decide whether or not they want to add something to their cart is the product page. That's the thing that needs to convert. That's the thing that needs to like convince someone whether they want to move forward or not. And so it's a great time to look at your product page and see what can be done. So let's take a look at Majuri, and I have some other sites up. I can show you examples. So again, I'm sharing, I know the examples that I'm sharing are like bigger, more established brands, but I like to share them anyway because I think any jewelry brand at any level with any budget, especially with a platform like Shopify that allows so much customization, can do things to level up their website, even if they're not like a Tiffany level brand. So here is Majuri's product page. I just chose a random product. I don't have any like agenda here. So they have the product image, and they're not doing pure white background, but it is a very high contrast so that you can see the product. And the other thing about it, I don't know if you noticed, is that it's consistent. So you don't necessarily need a pure white product background as long as everything is consistent and allows the jewelry to not have any distraction. So they're opting for this like beige color. And they also have an on-model image to show scale, which actually is so helpful to me looking at this, because in the product image, it looks like it might be bigger, and it's teeny weeny. So it's so important to have a way to see scale, because that helps you reduce the chance that you'll get an unhappy customer or a return. Even if you have things like the measurements, it's difficult to understand scale without having a picture. One thing that's really great about this product page is you can, to some extent, zoom in on the picture. It doesn't really let you do much here, but you can see it slightly bigger if you want. I do want to point out a few things just visually. Okay, so everything is very high contrast here. What I mean by that is there's the pure white background of the page, and then the words and the cart or the add to bag button is very high contrast, easy to see. Really, you pretty much want the most eye-catching, popping thing on the page to be the button that is going to get someone to your cart. The ultimate goal is to get someone in your cart and then to buy. So everything should be driving people in that direction. One thing that's really nice about this page too, and I'm on a pretty big monitor here, so it might look different on other browsers and devices, but all the most important information that you need to know is kind of up above without having to scroll very far. And also details. They don't even have anything here, but you can see the materials. There's a description. It is, not like the most amazing product description ever, but it does say something kind of story-like about it and gives some life and color to the product. So it's always important to have a product description. Here they happen to have reviews. One person says it's an average necklace. But anyway, it's a really good time in the summer to think about product pages. So we did have a comment from Elise, and she asked, what do you think about having a shop button on the top banner? Let me open your site to see what you mean. Give me 1 second, please. And then I mostly just wanted to talk about home pages and product pages because we have a lot more to go over. But as I'm talking and moving away from websites, if you're kind of like catching up, feel free to send me your URLs and we can take a look. Okay. So Elise asked, what do you think about having a shop button on the top banner? Are you talking about on the product page? You might have to direct me a little bit. Are you talking about the menu? While I await your answer, Laura from Novara Jewelry also had a question, so I'll just open her site and I will await. Hey Laura, I do want to say something I just noticed. So when I Google your business, the first search result is actually, if you see here, is actually not the domain, novarajewelry.com. It's novarajewelry.myshopify.com. And when you click on it, it shows that domain and it's not like redirecting. I'm not 100% sure why that would be happening, but you might want to check in your domain settings. And then if you have trouble, just message us later. Laura is a JoyDeck member, so she has access to messaging. Just let us know if you have trouble with that, but I would definitely fix that. Okay, so she wants feedback on her collection page for new jewelry. Let's look at that really quick. Oh, she said she added some text for search. This is so good, Laura. Okay, so let me just explain to everyone what she did. So in Shopify, so she's on the Shopify platform, most themes will allow you to have a collection like a banner image like this, and then put the collection title, and usually you can add some text also. I would recommend, and you might want to check this and what your theme allows. I'm on a big monitor, so consider that. It will probably look different on different screens, but the height of this image, you might want to make it like up to here or something, not as tall, which means you'll probably have to adjust the image and stuff. And the reason I say that is because on desktop, I have to scroll to see products. Better to have things up higher. But the text looks great, and the benefit of it is, one, it tells a little bit of a story, and two, it can help with SEO rankings if you have that kind of text optimized on your collection pages. Okay, so I'm awaiting Elise to give us further guidance about where to find what she means, and I'm just going to keep moving ahead in the meantime. So website stuff, again, really good time to do that. Oh, Elise said on the homepage. Do you mean the menu? Is that what you're talking about? If so, I think that that's great. Actually, that's what I would recommend. And I love this like mega menu style. This is perfect. Oop, I don't know what is going on here. Okay. I apologize if there's a little bit of a delay. I am having some technical difficulties today, and I don't know what's going on. But yes, if you're talking about the menu, I think this looks amazing. It's so clear and well organized. But for some reason, I don't know if you saw that, when the page like refreshes, there's kind of this weird delay and everything shifts and moves a little bit. All right, so I want to kind of get through the other things. So summer is the time to start planning your marketing calendar. I know this sounds like very difficult, like a very tall task, but try to plan through December 31st. Even if you are just plotting in high level items, or like just penciling in like shipping deadlines, order cutoffs. Think about if there are any special marketing things you want to try and experiment with that you haven't done before. Because as it gets busier, as the summer goes, and you're sitting by the pool, like take that time to relax, but make it easier for yourself. Think about future you in your business. And I want you to write down 3 marketing tasks you can prep now based on that calendar that you begin to build out through the end of the year. And for JoyDeck members, in our accompanying resource kit, we have a whole framework for basically planning through the end of the year, as well as like subject lines, email, concepts, thinking through gift guides, different kinds of promotional campaigns that you can do, so you can borrow from our ideas if you really don't know where to start. This is also summer. Okay, and I mentioned in planning your marketing calendar, thinking about plotting, even if you plot like these high level ideas. I mentioned, maybe if you want to experiment with something, now's a good time to work backwards from that. You can start the experiment now, because sometimes, actually a lot of times, it doesn't make sense to like start an experiment when you're in a really critical sales period. While it's good to like sprinkle in new strategies or tactics, you want to go for what you are pretty sure will work, because it is a, critical time. So summer is a really good time to try something new, or maybe pilot an idea that you want to execute on in Q4 in a more low pressure, low stakes kind of way. And so some ideas would be like, if you want to try some more localized influencer collaborations, like local, nano, micro. If you want to experiment with a giveaway or a partnership with another brand, if you want to think about maybe trying a loyalty type program, if you want to experiment with a more in-person or pop-up, anything that's like being on your wish list, or just like a nagging idea in your head that you've always wanted to experiment with, now's the time to do it, again, because the stakes are lower. And then if it works, or you gain learnings from that, going more full force on it in Q4. So let me know in the comments too, is there like a tactic, a strategy, an idea, a marketing experiment that you've always wanted to try? What is that? Let me know in the comments, and what has been holding you back from that, if anything. Maybe it's just time, resources, or maybe you're not sure where to start. I want to know, so let me know in the comments. Also, summer is a really good time to engage more personally. This is especially true and important for those of you that sell at higher price points, that sell fine jewelry. And you don't necessarily need to be selling like multi-$1,000 pieces to do this. This could be in like the few $100 price point. This is a good time to practice and hone in on your clienteling strategy. So, and this applies, of course, if you do custom work, if you have like more loyal clients that you have relationships with, or if you want to get to know your customers a little bit better. In the slow season, this is a time where you can try more of a clienteling approach. Sending out personal notes, postcards, reaching out more personally to your customers, where it makes sense, where you feel comfortable doing that. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch. It could just be a friendly hello. You can say that you love getting to know your customers. You love understanding what they love. How's your summer going? Here's some new things I launched, or I'm planning for my holiday assortment, and I would love to know, what are you thinking in terms of gifting? What would be great for you? Are you looking for any special gifts? Again, this will be so dependent on what your business model looks like, but I think this is a good time to try more of a clienteling approach. Also asking for reviews and testimonials if you haven't done that in a while. So for this, I want you to identify 5 past customers to reconnect with and think through what that looks like for you. It is also really helpful, if you don't have one, to try a CRM. And if you're not familiar with that, that's a customer relationship management system. It's basically just how do I say it? Like, this is such a outdated word, but like a Rolodex. Do you all know what that is? Where you save people's contact information in a centralized platform. HubSpot is one example of a CRM. There's many to choose from. They all pretty much do the same thing with different levels of bells and whistles. And you leave notes about your outreach, and you leave follow-up tasks. If you do custom work, a CRM is a must-have. But I don't think you need to do custom work necessarily to benefit from a CRM if you are incorporating active one-on-one outreach to customers. It's also great if you learn something about a customer and they share something special with you that you want to remember, so that in the future, when you do reach out to them, you have a place where you are remembering all of this stuff. Summer is a really good time to look at your analytics as well. You don't have to be like a data expert. I'm more talking about looking at patterns here. So going into Google Analytics, looking at your website traffic for June, for example, and you can compare it to last June. And if you see a crazy increase, that's amazing. Maybe think through why that's happening. If you see a significant decrease, well, that's a sign maybe to ask some questions, get curious about it, and explore that further. So I'm not talking about doing math, parsing data. We're sitting there the numbers are circling our mind, that meme that I can't remember what it's from, but we're not doing that. We're just looking for patterns and getting curious about what is happening. Where's the traffic coming from? Has social media traffic suddenly declined a lot? Also for email marketing, see if you notice any significant patterns in open and click rates. So you could even have all your campaigns open, take a peek. If in June of last year, you had a 60% open rate, and now suddenly in June of this year, you have a 30% open rate on average. Well, okay, we got to think through this, what's going on. So my advice always for analytics is just to be curious about it and see if you can figure out what's going on. And if not, send us a message. If you're a JoyDeck member, we are happy to point you in the right direction. And that, in addition to the marketing analytics, looking at your sales data, what are your best sellers? What are your underperformers? What makes sense to be merchandising? Does it give you insights into, what you should be curating for holiday in terms of gift guides or, gift recommendations, etc.? Summer is also a really great time to invest in long-term content. So if you've always wanted to start a blog in service of telling your story in a more in-depth way and trying to also get organic traffic from SEO, there you go. It's the perfect time to do that. It does require a plan, plotting out ideas. What do you want to talk about? How is it aligned with your full story? And then think about how you can really maximize that blog content. So maybe you want to blog about more evergreen topics that you can then repurpose into emails and social when things do get busy for you and you don't have time to think about content. So see it as an investment in the future of when you are too busy to deal with content, and you can batch it all now to save time later. And we have accompanying resources to blog post templates that you can use to kind of start brainstorming for that. I kind of mentioned email marketing when I was talking about analytics. This is a really good time. Okay, two things here. If it's been a while since you emailed your list, I want you to use summer as the time to get in the habit of being more consistent, aiming for once a month, every other week, once a week, just some kind of consistency for your email cadence. And if you have been emailing regularly, summer's a really good time to identify your disengaged subscribers. And in JoyDeck, we have resources about pulling a segment of people who haven't engaged in the past 3 to 6 months. For those people, you want to send them a re-engagement campaign, asking them, do you still want to be on the list? Are you interested? And if they are not, good riddance. We want to keep the list clean to protect you from ending up in spam. Again, so that as you're ramping up to Q4, you don't want to send your Black Friday campaign or whatever holiday campaign you're doing and nobody sees it because you're ending up in a spam folder. So think about deliverability now and making sure that your list is engaged, clean, viable, that you are landing in inboxes. So this is a really good time to do that. It's also an amazing time to revisit your ideal customer, especially if you haven't done that exercise in a while. If it's been a couple years since you've mapped out your target customer, your target audience, a lot has changed in the past couple years in terms of economy. Maybe your own price points have changed. Maybe your assortment has changed. Your approach has changed. It is a really good time to revisit. Have their needs changed? Are your current products speaking to them? You can even use this time to perhaps survey some of your VIP customers and offer an incentive for feedback, and use that to evolve and create a fresh snapshot of your dream or ideal customer so that moving into Q4, you have it down pat and you know exactly who you're talking to, what products they're going to love, and how to best engage them. All right, we had some questions come through as I have been going through some of these summer strategies. So let me look. Elise said, just going back to her website, shop button on the top banner. Let's see. Can share my screen. This looks amazing. Elise, I think it is good to have a call to action on the banner. You just need to make sure that you swap it out. That's my only advice. I mean, I think it's still graduation season. I don't even know, to be honest with you, because it's so different. Like some brands that we work with, they just focus on May for graduation season. Some go into early June. and beyond. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure. So it's whatever you think resonates with your customer. But then I would just have a calendar line item to swap this out and make sure that whatever is here is aligned accordingly with time, period, merchandising, etc. But I think that this looks really good and it's driving people directly to a relevant collection. And then Laura says, I have a summer-long art festival starting today. That's exciting. This is a great time for me to gather emails. Last year, the ones I collected didn't convert well. I need an incentive other than first looks or a discount. Yeah, so I guess what you're saying, let me try to translate a little bit. You think people are signing up for just to get the discount, but then they're not like interested long term, so they kind of like damage the health of your list. Is that what you mean? I think that might be. It's really tricky. I mean, I think you do need some kind of incentive to get them to sign up, especially at an event, because there will be a lot of like looky-loos. People will be resistant to give you their contact information. I think that it really depends, and Rebecca reminded me, we were just talking to another client about a similar issue at in-person events. I think part of it does depend on what that interaction looks like in the moment. Like, for example, what I mean is, do you just have like a clipboard down on the table and people are signing up and there's no like conversation involved? Or do you have an iPad and you're there with them, like kind of explaining things? My recommendation would be, and again, you can tell me more about what this looks like, is to try to bring value into that moment that you're asking for the email address, and maybe just reserve it for the sake of quality over quantity of email addresses. Just reserve it for people that you have a rapport with too, because then you know better. I mean, you can't guarantee it, but there may be a higher quality of a subscriber. So like what I'm saying is, okay, you're like chatting with the person, maybe you even like get to know something about them, or they compliment your jewelry, and you understanding a little bit what they like and what their budget is like. And then in that moment saying, you know, I would love for you to be in my world. Here, sign up. And you like hand them an iPad or your phone where there's a sign up. Or, you know, if you're doing it manually at that point in the conversation, you are working that in. It really depends on, you know, how that interaction typically happens. I find maybe that can help a little bit. And you can, if you have a good enough conversation with them, that is what a CRM can be helpful for. You can even have a notebook at events after the person leaves, just like jot down a few notes about them. And in your CRM, you know, you could see what the email address was, what the person's name was, just make notes about that person. And, you know, it depends. You're going to treat this on a case-by-case basis, but that could be someone that maybe gets a more personal outreach at another time. So you have to use your best judgment a little bit, and maybe adjust the approach of how that like interaction is happening. And since you said this is a summer-long art festival, that is perfect because it gives you a lot of time to experiment with different approaches. So maybe you say, okay, this weekend, I'm going to try things like this and see how it goes. Next weekend, I'm going to try things like this and see how it goes. And just adjust and refine and try different things and see how it all lands. Excuse me. All right, we have 6 minutes left. I want to... Okay, great. She says she has a clipboard. I like that. Thanks. I'll have time to talk with them. Perfect. Yeah, try some stuff out. I think you have to feel it out a little bit. All right, we have 5 minutes left. Any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, but I want to just remind you a few things. So we have a jewelry platform called JoyDeck. You can learn more by going to myjoydeck.com. My internet is so slow today. Going to myjoydeck.com and starting your free 30-day trial. As a trial member, you get access to the masterclass recording and all the accompanying resources that we have exclusively for members, as well as access to our one-to-one messaging where you can message us any questions you have as you're working through these things. As a reminder for those JoyDeck members watching today or the replay, we have our July challenge. The deadline is July 18th, and it's a holiday mini marketing plan. So you would answer these questions, do the tasks, and then one winner will get a free Super Swift service, which is a $99 value. And if you're watching and you're not a JoyDeck member, again, you can take advantage of the trial. You can also enter the challenge and have the chance to win a free Super Swift service. If you're only interested in a Super Swift service and you don't feel like doing the trial, that's cool too. You can go to myjoydeck.com/shop, and we have all of these like kind of SOS type services. For example, Instagram story design, SEO keywords, optimize your homepage, make emails work for you, product page critique, etc. for $99. And you can just add to cart, and it is a 48-hour delivery. So it truly is like a quick, I don't want to say it's a quick fix because we don't believe in those, but it is a quick like level up for something that maybe you want an expert eye on. And so I do want to mention that. And yes, thank you everyone for joining today. JoyDeck members, if you have questions afterward, feel free to message us. I really appreciate you coming. I hope your summer season isn't too slow, but slow enough that you have time to plant the seeds for Q4 and hopefully making that your most amazing Q4 ever. If you like these lives, I'm actually going to start going live more often, so you can look out for news about that. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Thanks very much for joining. It was great to have you all here. It's really fun. And thanks very much, everyone.